This video is made possible by our loyal Patreon supporters. Visit patreon.com/Psychetruth.
I have tons of awesome videos already ready for you. You can join me on Amazon Prime Video. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Follow us on social media for tips, tutorials, giveaways, and daily inspiration. Hey, welcome, it's Julia, and you're tuning in to day 9 of this 30-day course. And in this video, we're going to target your glutes. Yoga is awesome for targeting your glutes, and that's good news because most of us could use a little extra strength in our rear. So as we go through this video today, I want you to keep in mind that when we build large muscle groups like our quads and our glutes, we are increasing our metabolism. So more muscle means we burn more fat. This is great for anybody who's embarking on a new fitness or yoga program so that you feel stable, strong, and your metabolism is working just as it's supposed to. All right, so let's get started in child's pose. You'll notice as you go through this video that this partners really well with the previous video. A lot of the movements will be similar because we are still working with our low back, our pelvis, and our hips, but we're just working on the other side. Come on down. Start with those deep breaths in and out. It's a great thing that there's a lot of repetition in yoga. It helps your brain and your body start to build some muscle memory. And then when you do encounter something that's new or difficult, an added challenge, you have all of the energy, motivation, and mental clarity that you need to take it on. A couple more breaths. In our everyday life, glute work is usually something that we avoid or neglect. So today it's going to be a really great way to balance out. Come on up to tabletop. From tabletop, we'll tuck the toes, step back, plank pose. Because our glutes are on the back side of our pelvis and our psoas, our deep spine stabilizer, as well as our layers of abdominal muscles are on the front side, we're starting in plank here so that we have a lot of spinal stability as we go through. So it's important to draw the belly in and ignite the entire body here for just a few more breaths. It's important to think about the body as one holistic unit so that we don't get stuck in isolation or burning out just one set of muscles. Good, shift forward, lower all the way down. Remember your knees can always touch first. Loop the shoulder heads back, take a little cobra. So cobra, you're already starting to stimulate the back line of the body. Press into the tops of the feet. Take the shoulder heads a little farther back, the shoulder blades down. One more breath in. Good, and then shift back to child's pose. And in child's pose, I want you to take your knees a little closer today and just drape your arms down your side. So we call this variation embryo pose. With your knees closer together, you're going to get a deeper release for the muscles that line your low back. And because your hips are sit back by your heels, you're going to also stretch the glutes. Just like the abs, you have different layers of glutes. And in today's video, we are going to combine yoga moves and traditional glute work so that we are targeting all of their different layers. Come back up to tabletop. Shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. Extend your right leg back. You'll keep both of your hands down on the ground. So oftentimes when we lift one leg, we immediately collapse in the low back. I want you to keep your low belly in nice and strong. Now dial your toes down and lift the heel up. We're just going to turn on the back chain of the legs and the glutes as we get started with this work. So bend your knee and draw your heel to your butt. Keep the knee up in line with the hip. So you're not dropping the knee, you're keeping it up, and then extend the leg back. We'll do that a few times, drawing it in, extend it back. Pay attention to your low back and your low abdomen. Draw the pubic bone up towards the belly button so you have a lot of spinal support. Continue to press the opposing shin down and your hands down, going slow and steady. Good, let's take 4 more. Last 3, 2, and 1. Hold the leg out long, and you're going to just cross the body, lift it up, and touch it down like you're making a little triangle. Lift up, cross, up, down. Really lighten the toe, so you're asking the glute and the back line of the leg to do the lifting of the bone. Up and down. Good. Really light. If the leg's feeling heavy, you can always take a break and then resume. We'll do 4 more all the way through. So that cross, up, touch, up. Cross, up, touch, up. 2 more. Cross, up, touch, up. Last one. Cross, up, touch, up. Drop the knee, shift back to that embryo pose, stretch it out. I can already feel my glutes working. I can already feel a burn in the back line of my legs. This embryo pose feels so good. Take a deep breath in, big breath out. Good. Come back up. We're going to continue the work on the right leg. Extend your right leg back, so you're in a tabletop with one leg out. Then bend the knee and pull the toes down towards the knee. So in yoga, we talk a lot about the foot. Point the toes, flex your toe to your knee, because the muscles from your foot all the way up to your pelvis are all connected. So when you have an active foot, you know you're using more muscles. Press through the center of your heel up about 4 inches and then lower back down. So it's not a huge movement. Lift and lower. If you notice you're dumping into one side, continue to press evenly for both your hands. Lift and lower. Belly is in. It's a small movement up and down. You're moving the leg, not the back. The back stays stable. Good. So we're just going to speed it up. Lift, lift, lift. Press through the center of the heel and keep your foot active. You're doing great. You're here for 4, 3, 2, hold up on 1, and release. Knee down, shift back, arms back. Breathe. Good. One more time. Great job. Come back up to tabletop. Wonderful. So let's switch over to the left leg. Extend the leg out and start with some stabilization. Press your right shin down, push into your hands, broaden your chest. Notice if you're collapsing in the back or between the shoulder blades. Continue to hug the belly in and up. Start with those hamstring curls. Just draw the heel in and back out. If the knee gets heavy and drops, lift it up. In and back out. Turning on the back line of the leg, building support from our foot all the way up to our butt. Curl it in and back out. Staying stable and lifted. It is absolutely okay if you start to feel muscle burn. We do want to go towards a little bit of fatigue in the muscles that we're working today. And you're already equipped with so many great yoga stretches to alleviate. Let's go for 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Straighten the leg out. Keep it lifted. So you know if you are sore, you have in your arsenal lots of great stretches to relieve some soreness. Good. As you press through the heel, we're going to start that little dance of crossing the body, tapping it down, and lifting it back up. Here we go. So cross, lift, tap, back up. Nice and stable. Lift, down, and up. Working lots of different muscles in the hips because we're crossing the body and uncrossing. Anytime you take one of your limbs across the midline, you're getting this added benefit of asking your brain to utilize both hemispheres, which is really cool. Continue light touches of the toe, and you're almost there. Belly stays engaged. Let's go for 4 more. Down, up, tap, and up. Keep on working. 2 more. My muscles are definitely burning. Last one. And child's pose. Ah, that feels good. Relax. Might even feel good to massage the forehead side to side. There's a little acupressure point in between the eyebrows that stimulates balance. Good. Then come back up to your tabletop. So here from tabletop, if your wrists are feeling a little fatigued for the next exercise, you're welcome to come down to your elbows. If your glutes are feeling a little fatigued, that's okay. They're big burner muscles of the body, and they recover really fast. So we can put them through a lot. And you already know how to get a rest day in there as well. All right, so let's keep going. I want you to press your left shin down into the yoga mat, tuck the right toes, and then lift the knee out to the side, so like fire hydrant. And then close the knee, let it hover above the mat, so you're not gonna touch it down hard, and then lift the heel up. So just combining a movement, taking the knee out to the side, drawing it down, lift the heel up, draw it down. One more time slow. Out. So you're just lifting out to the side, not so much that you're moving onto one hip, just lifting out to the side, down to hover, up, down to hover. So let's go. Out to the side, down, up, down. Belly is engaged. You can be up on the hands or down here on the elbows. If you are on the elbows, make sure you're pressing through the forearms as well so that you have stability. Continue with fluid motion. It's not about speed, it's about a consistent rhythm. Good. Let's go for 4 more. So 4, 3, 2, and on this last one, as we take it out to the side, lift it up and hold. Broaden the chest, pull the belly in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Knee down, hips back. Let's just sit up for a moment and take a breath. All right, we have one more side. You're doing great. Come back down, either hands or forearms. Either is fine as long as the belly's engaged and you're not collapsing down. So push into the yoga mat. Tuck the left toe. Bring the knee out to the side. Let's do a few slow so you feel the rhythm on this side. Close the knee in to hover. Lift the heel. Bring the knee down to hover. Again, slow. Out to the side, just enough that you're feeling lift. Close it down to hover. Straight back. And to hover. All right, let's go. Out, in, up, down. Out, in, up, down. You're doing great. Let the glutes burn. Don't run away from the sensation. Stick with it. Part of yoga's superpowers is helping us feel a little more comfortable with discomfort. You're doing great. And also remembering that nothing is forever. So the discomfort that's happening in your glutes is going away soon. You got 4 more. So if you're working on poses in yoga, you want to feel more strong and stable. These are the kind of drills you can do to feel really great in your body. Let's go 1 more. Awesome. Come back up to your hands if your elbows are down. Shift back to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Lift your hips. Oh my goodness, that feels so good. Pedal out through your legs. If you've never appreciated downward facing dog before, I am sure you do now. This is such a great pose for relief in the back line of our legs, and you're probably feeling that very dramatically here. Take a couple breaths, just enjoying this downward facing dog. Good. Hinge forward to a plank, and then lower all the way down to your belly. So you're going to take your hands out in front of you, underneath your forehead, and lay the forehead down. And then behind you with your legs, you're going to make them a little diamond and bring the heels together. So as you go through this exercise, if you have any low back pain, reduce the range of motion, okay? You don't have to make it a huge motion to make it effective. Keep the forehead down. Take a breath in. On your exhale, draw the belly in and lift the heels. Lower back down. So it's just a little lift and a lower. Press the feet together and lower. Squeeze and lower. Lift and lower. Continue to push the feet into one another. You're here for 4, 3, 2, last one, and release. Relax the tops of the feet down to the ground and shake the hips side to side. So that's a really targeted move for some of the deep stabilizing muscles of the hips. So if that felt kind of strange or different or pretty difficult, that's okay. 1 more breath in. And an open mouth, soothing breath out. So for our last drill in this glute blasting yoga video, we're going to take exercises from bridge. So combining a yoga move with some repetition, again, to hopefully get our muscles close to a fatigue. It's important to pay attention to the low back here, so draw the belly in. Reach the fingertips towards your heels. Lift to a bridge. So a lot of times in bridge, we go way, way up. In these hip lifts, you don't have to go all the way up. Just look for the place where you're seeing a straight line from the knees all the way to the hips. So kind of a diagonal line, the knees being the tallest. And then as you lower the hips, allow them just to hover. Maybe they lightly touch the yoga mat and then you come back up. Take a few slow and keep your gaze either at your knees or up to the ceiling. If you're looking at your knees and you see they're going really wide, hug in just a little bit. You want your thigh bones to track in line with your hip sockets and the hip points. Lower down and lift. Lower down, squeeze the glutes at the top. Good. So let's go with a little bit of repetition and a nice, smooth, steady rhythm. Lower, squeeze and lift. You want to feel the squeeze so that you know you're activating the right muscles. Lower down, lift. Again, we're not going so high that we're taxing the low back. Just lift the hips up in line with the knees. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Notice if you're collapsing at the bottom of the movement, keep enough tension in the muscles that you can make it smooth and steady. Good. You're here for 4, 3, you might notice your hamstrings as well, 2, they're working. Hold up on 1 and start to drag the heels back towards your shoulders you'll notice that the entire back chain of the legs and the glutes just fired on. One more breath in, and then release down. Oh, that feels so much better. Windshield wiper the knees side to side. You've earned it. Then we'll draw the knees to the chest. That just gives a nice stretch into your rear. And drop the knees over to your right. And just to give the low back a nice, gentle support, we'll do double knees today for our twist instead of single leg. Good, switch to the other side. The closer your knees are to your chest in this twist, the more length you're gonna feel in your lumbar and in your low back. Good. Come to the middle, and we're going to stretch out those deep hip rotators with a supine pigeon. Cross the shin bone over the opposite thigh bone. Thread your arms through and grab behind your hamstring. You want to feel two actions. Draw the farther away leg in and press your closer leg out. Flex your toes back to your knees. We talked about that earlier. Active feet mean you are working on all the muscles. And in this case, when you activate your feet, you're creating a little space for your knee to stay happy and not cramped or jammed in this pose. Good, switch to the other side. Supine pigeon, also called figure four legs. Feels really, really nice in the deep hip muscles. Also into the IT band, which is an important area of the body that helps you stabilize from your knee all the way to your outer hip. Good. Now just draw both knees into your chest and lift your forehead up to meet your knees. Take a deep breath in. Exhale into your Shavasana. Never ever skip Shavasana. You earned it. Open up the chest. Turn your palms up. Wet your lips so your mouth gets soft. Let the top jaw drop from the bottom jaw. And then pay attention to your glutes right now. They're probably still squeezing tight. Let them soften and relax like your whole pelvis was just melting into the yoga mat, getting a nice deep release. When I first started getting more interested in fitness and in yoga, one thing I used to think was, I don't want to build muscle in my glutes. I felt self-conscious about that. But the more I learned about how important having muscle tone is for metabolism, and honestly, even for our psychology, feeling inspired and confident, alert, empowered, muscle is essential, especially for women. We typically shy away from muscle building, but it is crucial to our overall health and well-being. So once I learned how important that was, I stopped shying away from using my big burner muscles, and I started leaning into it. And I feel so much stronger and happier for doing so. So I'm really glad you joined me today for this. Reach your arms overhead, point your toes. Roll to your side. Press yourself up to a seat. All right. Let's meet with our hands at heart center. Lift your chest up to your thumbs and fill up with gratitude for your biggest muscles, your butt. We all need a strong butt. And you did a great job today. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, namaste. Hey, welcome. Today's bonus video is all about helping you navigate some of those funky words we've been throwing around when it comes to working out. Like, what the heck does plyometric movement even mean? When it comes to working out, a lot of the movement words that we're using have something to do with the type of muscle fiber that we are talking about, or it has something to do with how the muscles are working. So let's start big to small. In these videos, you'll hear me talk about the big burner muscles. Well, what does that mean? Big burners are muscles like your quads. They're big, they're hefty, they take a lot of blood flow, they move around large parts of the body, which means they are burning a lot of calories, they require a lot of fuel, and they're pretty much muscles that can go for a decent amount of time, right? They can take on the load that you're giving them. So oftentimes you'll find big burner muscles in the areas of the body you would expect. In your legs, because we need our hips and our legs to be moving all day long to carry us, to keep us upright, to let us run, let us walk, let us jump. You'll also hear me talk about plyometric movements. Plyometric movements are movements that are powerful movements like jumping. They require you to be quick. They require you to use your fast twitch muscle fibers, which is the part of your muscle fibers that actually allow you to do powerful movements with some speed. And when you think about plyometric movements, things like jumping, it gets your heart rate up really, really quickly. When we get our heart rate up, we're burning a little bit more calories. Plyometric movements are also a great thing to counterbalance our steady endurance muscle fibers that we use more often in yoga, which is why we've combined HIIT and yoga so that you're getting your fast twitch and your slow twitch muscles. Now, I did a podcast with Karina where we talked a little bit more in depth about fast twitch and slow twitch muscles, and I totally encourage you to go ahead and give a listen to that. But in summary, you have both types of muscle fibers. It is true that we tend to have a fast or slow twitch tendency. Everybody's a little bit different, which is why you have some people who excel at sprinting and hurdles, and you have other people who are really great on long distance runs. But that doesn't mean that you only can train in that way. In fact, it's important for us to train both types of muscle fibers. You may also hear me during this challenge talk a lot about the importance of stabilization and working our stabilizing muscles. So we have our big burner muscles, and our big burner muscles are often the muscles that are doing the load of the work. But stabilizer muscles are often a little bit smaller, a little bit more nimble, and a lot of times they are so important for stabilizing our joint, but they're not necessarily as effective as taking on the entire load of the movement. So we want to ensure that our movement is strong in the big muscles that are supporting whatever joint action it is that we're doing, like squats or sitting or standing or jumping or running, but that we also have healthy, mobile, and agile muscle tone in our stabilizing muscles. That means that our joints will feel stable, strong, and able to do whatever it is that the exercise is asking it to do. The most important thing to think about when we're starting to learn all of these new terms for working out is that typically the terms are describing something about what the body's doing, or they're describing something about the part of the body that's doing the work. For example, the term isometric movement. Isometric, iso, you might be thinking of something like isolate. Well, you're on the right track there. Isometric movements are when you're isolating a muscle and you're holding that movement, so you're not going any farther. When we work with isolating a muscle and isometric movement, then we are starting to build the endurance of that muscle, whatever it is that we're doing. So for example, a muscle typically has concentric and eccentric contraction. Concentric contraction is when the angle of the joint is getting smaller. So that's like a bicep curl. Eccentric contraction is when the angle of the joint is getting bigger and that muscle has to resist the descent. So that's like the second half of the bicep curl when you return to your normal position. Both concentric and eccentric contraction strengthens your muscles. But then isometric movement, where you're just holding the weight, challenges the muscle in a different way. So what's better? Neither is necessarily better. The truth is we need all of it. And that's why this program is so effective, because we have a lot of different types of movement. We are getting into all of the different types of muscles, and you are going to be challenged in a variety of ways. It's really easy to get a little bit confused about these new terms. I totally get it. You don't have to memorize all of it, and guess what? There's no test at the end of the challenge. But it does help you to start to get to know all of the amazing things that your body can do. When you realize that you have this awesome body that is ready and able to learn new movements, you're going to feel more empowered to take on any new exercise. Make sure that you're listening to your body, that you're taking the time to learn, and that you're being gracious with yourself, because some of this stuff isn't easy and it takes some time. But you're doing a great job. Thanks for taking on this challenge, and I'm right there with you step for step. I can't wait to see you in the next video.
Wellness Plus is available on Amazon, which you can stream from your home on your phone, tablet, or TV. Join Wellness Plus today and get your first 7 days free.
Introducing Yoga Plus, offering a free series every month with over 300 different videos. Take control of your health. Work out anytime, anywhere. Yoga Plus. Download now for free.